Hey there everybody, this is Lee with Creative2xmom, and this video is going to be our books of the month for May 2018. I'm so excited. School is lightening up a little bit right now, and so I've been able to really dive into some books that I've had on hold, some books that I've really wanted to read and just have not had the brain power. But now that we're heading into summer, this was a good month for me to just catch up a little bit and to dive into something a little bit deeper. This video is actually part of a collaboration which is being hosted by Ingrid at Mommy and Mia Homeschool Chronicles, as well as April at the Simple Rugged Path. So I will link their channels down below as well as the playlist. So this month I read 3 books on my own. They were all review books. I want to let you know that right up front, that I do get books once in a while from publishers to review, but I always try to share my really honest opinion with you guys. Like, is this worth your money? Is it not worth your money? Was it something I enjoyed? Was it something I didn't enjoy, but just because it wasn't my genre? I've always tried to be really honest and upfront with you guys about my opinions, but all 3 of these books were review books, so I just wanted to let you know that up front. The first one that I read was called Girl Wash Your Face. It's by Rachel Hollis, and I had heard a little bit of buzz about this book in the blogging world. I think it was from Sam at Happily a Housewife was where I first heard about this book. And I thought, kind of sounds interesting, but I wasn't sure if I would read it or not. I personally had never heard of Rachel Hollis before reading this book. Apparently she has a pretty big following and is pretty well known in the blogging world, but she's not anybody that I've ever read or seen her work prior to this book. This I would put in the genre of sort of half memoir, half Christian self-help type book, and she breaks down I believe it's 20 different lies that women believe and how to conquer and overcome those lies. So for example, I'll just kind of give you a few of them. Something else will make me happy. I will start tomorrow. I'm not good enough. I'm better than you. I don't know how to be a good mom. I should be farther along in my life by now. I know that's one of those lies that plays over in my mind sometimes. You're in your 30s, you should be farther along in reaching your goals than you are now. So each chapter faces a lie that we tell ourselves and how she overcame that lie, and then at the end of each chapter is some tips or ideas that you can make work for you. So things like, I should be further along in my life. Well, going back and just taking inventory of what you have done in your life, what have you accomplished that maybe these people that you're admiring or looking at haven't, because we don't always know what's going on with other people. So what have you accomplished in the years that you've had that would push you forward, that you might not be, you're just not realizing your blessings. This is one of those books that I actually really did enjoy. Each chapter was super impactful and really spoke to that lie. She used personal examples of things that have happened in her life that caused her to face the lies that she was telling herself. And there were several of them in here that I realized I probably wouldn't have put my finger on them before, but I realized I had been telling myself that same lie. And it was just very eye-opening to be like, oh my gosh, I do that, and that's why I do that, and I really need to work on that. So this is one of those books that can easily be read pretty quickly. She writes in a very familiar style, and you can read it pretty quickly, but even though I have read it and finished it, there are certain chapters in here that I want to go back and reread because I know that there's more there for me. So I would say 4 stars out of 5. Pretty good. The second book I'm going to share with you is How to Be a Perfect Christian. This is by the Babylon Bee, and again, I had not heard of this group before. Apparently it's a satirical group that kind of has an online presence. I'd never heard of them before, and when I saw that I was going to be sent this book and I saw the title, I was like, oh please let this be satire, because it was kind of a turnoff from the beginning for me. How to Be a Perfect Christian. I just thought, if this is going to be a serious self-help book, I'm probably going to toss it out the front door, because I just couldn't even imagine thinking that I actually could be perfect. So yes, it is a satire, and typically Christian, I'm not a satirical person. It's not in my personality, and I don't generally appreciate it, but as somebody who's grown up in the church, I was very surprised by this book, and that I carried this one a lot to baseball games, and I would sit there and just read whole chunks of it out loud to my husband, or whole chunks of it out loud to my in-laws were visiting. I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to read this. And so I would just read whole sections to them laughing, and they would kind of like look at me like, you're really enjoying this? Because that's not my personality at all. And I actually really did enjoy this. Having a background in the church, there was so much to laugh at. Worth $20. This is the hardcover, worth $20. I'm not sure, because it's kind of a one-time read for me, but still super funny. And the third book that I personally read this month was Raising World Changers in a Changing World by Kristen Welch. You've probably seen on my Facebook page, I've been popping up quotes from this book all over the place, because again, this was one of those books that really held a mirror for me to see how I'm raising my kids. Oh, that's why. That's what they're reacting to. That's how I can kind of lead and guide them. I was absolutely floored. I didn't know quite what to expect in this book. I've read Kristen Welch's books before. I've read Rhinestone Jesus. I think the other one is Raising Grateful Kids. I've read that one. But this was just a whole other level from her. And that it was really took a hard look at the heart, and a hard look at not just my kids' hearts, but how am I modeling this? Am I a good model of reaching out into the world and reaching out into others? Because if I'm not, my kids aren't going to be. And I think that's really what the message of this book came down to for me, is I can't raise world changers if I'm not willing to step out of my comfort zone and reach out to other people in the world. Like, I can't ask my kids to do something that I'm not modeling for them. And so as much as this is about raising kids, for me, so much of the message was about changing my heart and what has the Lord called me to do in changing the world, and then modeling that for them and being an example for them, and praying in my heart of hearts that they catch on to that vision as well. So those are the 3 books that I read this month. I will leave links to the full written reviews down below in case you're interested. Let's rank this one. Out of 5 stars, probably 3.5, just because satire is not my genre. If it is for you, probably a 4.5. And Raising World Changers, a 5. As far as what we read with the kids this month, so we finished the Little House series. We read the last one, which I believe was the first 4 years, or these Happy Golden Years. I can't remember. I always get those 2 mixed up. We finished them. The first time we've ever finished that series, because we've never read the last 2 books. And I'm so glad we did it. I realized that my kids love historical fiction, especially my 2 younger ones. Absolutely love it. And that series fell right perfectly in line with that. And we've been listening to an audiobook called Before Green Gables, and it's the backstory of Anne Shirley before she went to live at Green Gables. So her first, I believe, 9 or 11 years. I'm not sure. We're almost done with it. We should be done with it by the time this video goes up. And it's been really, really good. Not as good as the Green Gables series, but it's nice to kind of hear another perspective and kind of hear her growing up years. It's written by another author, which I will have to list down below because I'm not sure who it is. My word of caution is that I've been listening to this with my 10-year-old and my 6-year-old, and my 10-year-old totally gets it, but there are some harsh realities that we get a glimpse of in Anne of Green Gables, that she grew up in these different households and things were not always pleasant, but that plays out a little bit differently in this book. And so there are some harsh things and some difficult conversations that I've had to have with my 6-year-old. I would say in hindsight, he was probably a little bit young for this book, although I think he gets it. He understands what's going on. It's just been a little sad to be that honest with him about some of the realities of life. So I would say maybe probably wait until 10 on that one. So that's the books that I read this month and the 2 books that we read with the kids. I'm really looking forward to the summer and kind of setting the school books aside and having some more time to read. I picked up Lilac Girls at the library the other day, which was a recommendation from one of these collab videos, and it's like 500 pages long. So that may be all I read in June. I'm not sure yet. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you are reading and loving these days, and we'll see you next time. Bye guys.